Hello, I'm David Hickman, Professor of Trumpet at Arizona State University. After a rather overwhelming response to my previous video about the new 5-valve C trumpet, which I helped design with Clifford Blackburn, I would like to respond to some of the many emails I received concerning specifics about the instrument. First of all, the orchestral excerpts I played on the first video, as well as the ones I will demonstrate today, are only a tiny fraction of the passages where this trumpet is useful. It can be used in all sorts of solos too, but due to copyright restrictions, most of the modern works I'm not able to show on the video or to play as an audio file. But I think you'll understand how this instrument functions by simply listening to the public domain works that I do. Although the idea of having more than 3 valves on a trumpet to aid technical facility, intonation, and accuracy began during the mid-19th century, the problems with earlier designs were that the instrument bore was quite small. It felt stuffy. It also had a very small bell, which gave it a very bright sound compared to modern standards. And also, most of the time, the intonation was very bad when you went to one of the additional keys. The instrument usually played fairly well in its home key, usually in C, but when you went to one of the other keys, only maybe half of the notes were actually usable. But through carefully designing the valve slide lengths and using a step bore design, as well as nodal point theory to be able to adjust individual intonation for notes, Blackburn has made an instrument that, to me, sounds and feels really great, and the intonation is equally nice, and it plays in all keys quite well. The trumpet is pitched in C, but by depressing this 4th valve, now it's in B natural, lowers it a half step. The 5th valve, the rotor, raises the pitch by cutting off this loop of tubing just by moving my finger forward. Now it cuts that off and places the instrument in D. And when I play use both valves together, now it's in the pitch of D flat. There's a small swivel bracket on the 4th valve which can turn and lock the valve down, so you can play entire passages on the B natural trumpet. Likewise, the rotor has a little hook, which when I move the finger forward, this drops and locks the valve in position, so now it holds it in D. And of course, locking both together places the instrument in D flat, which we use quite often. I simply like to think of it as a C trumpet, but when I come to a difficult passage, I usually can figure out one of the other keys that would make it much easier. And it's possible to change keys on the fly, which we do probably most often simply by moving this trigger finger on the left hand, switching from C to D. Operating the 4th valve on the fly is also fairly easy, but to do both of the valves, the 4th and 5th, together, especially if you're moving the first 3 valves, that's very, very awkward, and I don't know of any places where I would need to do that. Difficult trills are much easier on this instrument. I'll demonstrate a few. For instance, the 3rd space C on a C trumpet can be a little awkward, but on the D trumpet, it's a B flat trill. In C, now in D, and the low C trill on a C trumpet, and on the D trumpet. Of course, the low B to C sharp on the C trumpet, that's horrible. We just avoid that one. But on the D trumpet, it's an A trill. Also A flat to B flat in the middle of the staff. It's kind of clumsy, but on the D trumpet, it's a G flat trill. 4th space E to F sharp on the C trumpet can be a little tricky. But on the D trumpet, it's a D trill. And there are many other trills where the instrument has advantages. I'll now demonstrate several difficult orchestral passages where I like to switch between C and D just by simply moving this trigger. The first is from the second movement of Mahler's Symphony No. 1. The trill is much easier when played on the D trumpet. Another is from Mahler's Fifth Symphony, Movement 1. This is the lyrical solo. I play it in C, but the low C sharp is much easier to tune as a B on the D side. And the octave A slur near the end, I find also easier in D as a G slur. You'll notice that now and then I do use alternate fingerings on the four space E and E flat, but that's really only to keep a consistent tone color within that key. The third movement of Mahler 5 also has an octave A concert, which locks very well as a G on the D side. Rimsky-Korsakov's Le Coq d'Or begins with a fanfare played by unison muted trumpets. The high concert A flats are difficult to tune and easy to crack, but I find them to be very secure as G flats on the D side. The third movement of Mahler's Second Symphony has a passage with a long concert C trill, and this is cake on the D side, becomes a B flat trill. Similarly, the long concert C trill in the post-horn solo of Mahler's Third Symphony is much easier to play as a B-flat trill on the D trumpet. entire passages can be played in D by engaging the fifth valve, either by pushing the finger forward and keeping it there, or using the little hook to lock the valve in D. Here's a short passage from the first movement of Mahler's First Symphony, where we go to an extended held concert high A, which I play as a G on the D trumpet. The ending of Mahler's First Symphony is in D major, so the final arpeggios in the first trumpet part were most easily played on D trumpet. Again, I lock the horn in D and have some fun. Near the very end of the first movement of Mahler's Fifth Symphony, the trumpet plays two little arpeggios, the second of which is in A major. And again, it locks in very well on the D trumpet. By the way, I like to use the sotto voce mute, which gives it a very soft sound, makes it sound very distant, and but it allows me to play at a comfortable mezzo forte. Suite number 1 of Daphnis and Chloe by Ravel has one particular passage which is extremely difficult for the fingers on C trumpet. These four measures are more easily played on the D trumpet. I like to play Handel's Messiah on the piccolo trumpet in A, but sometimes the bass soloist is an operatic bass who has a huge, heavy sound. And in these cases, I feel like the piccolo trumpet sounds like a little insect playing next to the soloist. So I prefer to play the D trumpet for that movement, the trumpet shall sound. I simply lock the horn in D, I'm good to go. The cornet solo Danse Napolitaine from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake is one of the most popular solos in the orchestral trumpet repertoire. Originally composed for cornet in A, I like to play it on the D trumpet, but utilizing a trumpet flugel mouthpiece. It has a shallow flugelhorn cup, but placed on a trumpet shank, which is shortened a little bit, so the intonation is fine. But this gives it the proper characteristics of sound and articulation. Morning Carnival Overture by Berlioz is one of my favorite pieces, but playing the cornet part on a C trumpet is not much fun at all. In fact, it's downright scary. But Clifford Blackburn, with the 5-valve trumpet, has made these pieces very, very easy to play. I'll demonstrate 3 main passages from the first cornet part, and I simply place the instrument in B by holding down the valve, locking it. I'm ready to go. Before playing this third passage, I'd like to point out that I also used the 5th valve during the first 5 measures. This places the horn in D flat. I simply, while I'm locked in B, move this finger forward. Now the instrument is in D flat, and the fingerings on those first 5 measures are very easy. Then I go back to B for the rest of the passage. Here's what that looks like. When playing one of the brilliant trumpet solos in Debussy's La Mer, consider how easy the fingerings are in D flat. Simply lock the 4th valve and the 5th valve and play the passage in D flat. Likewise, the D-flat trumpet makes the tricky fingerings on the C trumpet a thing of the past when playing Ravel's Rhapsody Espagnole. My last excerpt is the trumpet solo La Chocolat from Tchaikovsky's popular ballet The Nutcracker. This lies pretty well on E-flat trumpet, but it also lies well on the D-flat trumpet. Like with any good trumpet, a small amount of lipping or valve slide adjustments are needed, but I find that the Blackburn 5-valve C trumpet is exceptionally well in tune in the key of C, and the other keys are very workable. For more information, please take a look at my earlier YouTube under the same title about this new and exciting instrument, which I think will be an important link in the evolution of the trumpet. You can also find more at my website, www.hickmanmusiceditions.com. Thanks for watching.